Hello everyone, welcome back to Sage Time. It has been a while and there are stories to tell, but I want to get right into today's message. Tomorrow being the activation day of the summer solstice. So today I will bring in a message for the sign of Gemini. Hello Geminis, suns, and all else. This message has wanted to come through very strongly for you today. And it definitely felt like as soon as I pulled the message that and started interpreting it and made up my mind to make a video, regardless of circumstances and chaos or what have you, there was a breath of release, that kind of thing. And that is a message coming in for you right off the bat. There are things you are being called to do that resisting it, there's an association feeling of resisting it, then brings up this anxiety or tension and stress, deterrent. So there's an association of how, if I do this thing that I feel anxious around, it must not be the right thing. And what the message is wanting to say here is that start stepping into it if you can, and it's a safe thing, obviously. Step towards it and do like a stage rehearsal in a sense, and see if that starts bringing in that alignment and relief and release and opening. And that's where you'll know that it's a fear threshold to be crossed. Hello, Jupiter. Rather than a warning indicator intuitively. I have a lit candle, and I don't know that she's very familiar with lit candles yet. So let's keep an eye on her. Okay, you know what? Babies are meant to be set up in life for success. So no tails on fire today. All right, everybody. Gemini, house, sun, Venus, moon, left-sided shadow, however you see it. This is your reading for today. Right off the bat, I just want to jump into the cards. There's an overall that wants to come out, but it's not coming out right now. All right, the first two cards that came out were an answer to a question. And here you have the white stag, and the first card that came out, the 10 of challenges, and the white heart. And you can see here in the first, very first, and really the most prominent point that wanted to be made with these two cards is remember who you are. If you're getting lost in the rabble of other people's thought processes and feelings and emotions and stories and ancestor influences and occupation, work, job, kids, pets, with tails in fire, if you're getting caught up in that, whether you know it or not, but it has this internal tornado kind of sense, but not even that symmetrical, just a bit of chaos is what I'm feeling. Remember the truth of who you are. This is who you are. You are that white stag in the forest, that symbol of pure divine nobility. And you might be thinking, that's a little over the top. And maybe that's for some people. Maybe that is me, but maybe not. The truth is that's the core truth of everybody, right? But connecting with that and holding the fidelity to that connection, that knowing, and not in the sense of self-importance, in a sense of truism, and quite honestly, it's one of the most humbling feelings, I'm sure you know, when you touch on that. When you touch on that purity of yourself, and I'm getting a little teary, you feel both simultaneously how significant you are in the purity of who you are, and also how small you are in the greatness of it all. And so the cards are saying, come back and look and reflect upon and within yourself. And you can see this mirror. It's showing his reflection. It's all sparkled around the edges, reminding him of the threads of magic that connect us, the threads of clear and clean mind, clear and cleaned body, and then alignment with the heart. So the next card that came out is the Wise Woman. And here, I'm not sure if you can see it in the camera, she sits underneath a large tree, and on maybe apples. On one side, the fruit are a darker color, and on the other side, they are a lighter color. And she's doing her own modality, her own medium of divination. And in this image, she's using what is naturally occurring in each one of these pieces in her divination pouch and spread are things that she didn't just randomly pick up. They have an ongoing archive of meaning. I'm also noticing there's two paths underneath each side. So underneath the side with the dark fruit is a light path, and underneath the side with the light fruit is the dark path. And it's a reminder to not let definitions of polarities limit us, because eventually they always crisscross and intermingle. The light, what we think and what we believe is the light or the dark, can and often does, such as the rules of duality met with paradox, they will contradict themselves. So it's a really important here reminder that we don't know everything. And in truth, we don't really know anything. And so seeking that higher guidance, the divination, getting in that centered, more pure state, the middle path, the middle way of the tree, and allowing the messages to come through from that central alignment, not the mind, but based on the heart, based on the knowing that it's less about what is right and wrong, and it's more about what is it coming through more about. There's something that really wants to be emphasized here. That's what it is. The cards before. It's remembering the truth of who you are. You're still going to go through the traumas and dramas, the uncertainties and the stalemates, the borings and the successes and defeats. But remembering who you are as that purity of self allows us to move through it as a witness without the attachment of good, bad, right, wrong. Of course, within the, at least for me, and I always think it's very important to remind people to have your own code of what you will and will not be willing to do, but that's pretty built in, and you know what that is. Okay, the next two cards that came out underneath that together are the Weaver of Wisdom, the Weaver of Visions, and Eight of Challenges. So the Eight of Challenges then had a series of cards that came out right afterwards. And basically this is what really confirmed for me that there is just that mental chaos. Look at all those swirls surrounding her in the barber bushes. She is stuck in the middle of massive entanglements that do not belong to her. They come from many different places, and they're spiraling. They're other people's spirals, maybe not even other people, just things that are surrounding other people. It's pulling on her scarf. It's almost like a sense of pulling her back into it further. She's all cut up and her attire is shredded, and she's covering her eyes to not see it. And I feel like, while often the advice is not to cover our eyes, I feel like what is being spoken about here is to get clarity within the sight rather than the obvious sight. And I wonder if there was some sort of, we've got the 10 of spells that came out with it as part of the sequence. I wonder if there was something where you attended a gathering with a bunch of friends, or even just being at it's summertime, right? So there's festivals and fairs and farmers markets and more gatherings of conglomerates of various different types of people, even taking more walks out at the park with your dog or yourself. These can, for those who are developing and have those highly more sensitive perceptivities, and even for those who don't recognize that that's going on, we're still influenced by everyone and everything that we encounter, and it's easy to lose yourself. So I wonder if things are feeling a bit more amped up lately, and you're having that feeling of just losing yourself, even though you know the truth that you are this purity of the divine, this light, and you've done the work for it. I wonder if this is really a amping up of the challenge of that, and not in a way of testing you, but so much as a way of, it's kind of initiation by fire, or dropped into the deep end of the pool, for you to be put in a heightened circumstance that you are ready for. And I have a feeling you don't feel you are ready for it. You are ready for it. It's just a bigger challenge. It's a higher octave of, higher caliber of requirement, and you're completely ready to do this. You are completely ready to do this. I think you know that when you hear somebody say it with that truth of conviction. And so what needs to happen perhaps is for you to start doing that truth of conviction out loud for yourself. I am capable of getting through this. I am in alignment and moving more clearly and truly into alignment, and whatever else the I ams are. I think when you are out and about, family, friends, just in the world, a job, I'm seeing that this is more of a celebration though. So I don't think it's something of a requirement. It's more like a group of you, and maybe just a couple of you, 2 or 3, but it could have been a group of you, went out and just had a good time. You went dancing and you felt the magic of the night, and that magic opened you up in big ways, and all kinds of stuff got in. And so I think there's this feeling of, oh, was I deceived? Did I meet somebody that lied and deceived and energetically like infiltrated my business? And I'm hearing the answer in a way is yes, and this is how it was supposed to be. And this is already and will continue to benefit you in far more ways than it takes from you. So I have this feeling, my dear Geminis, that perhaps this is not an uncommon way. Although, no, I'm hearing for some of you, this is new. This is a new way of going out and bringing yourself to the next level. That kind of accident brings about the perfect solution. But you did encounter someone or an energy. I'm feeling it's more of a particular person, most likely, with this bird here on the side of him. It's someone who is aware of his deceptiveness, or hers. It does not need to be a he, and uses a cunning facade to lure people in. And if you were already in a open and vulnerable way, which you are meant to be, then it's the perfect opportunity for a thorn to kind of insert itself in. And one of the big reminders with that is opening yourself up in that way and getting a nick and a cut and getting caught up in the brambles is nothing less than fortifying your strength in a way that cannot be done by playing safe. And that isn't to say go out and take unnecessary risks by any means, but when we work in the modus operandum of the heart, in the divine heart, and the purity of that nature and consciousness, we are strengthening that light and that empowerment within us by stubbing our toes and getting nipped by thorns and even getting a little, sometimes a lot of untoward is what I'm hearing, intentions and inceptions. So here's what's at the end of this. All right, so this is, I forget the name of this tree. It's not holly. This is the Four of Challenges card. But you can see this particular tree, the meaning within it is talking about being in the thick of a dark and wintry type of a forest. Maybe you don't have a lot of friends or family or a social network that you really feel like you can share what's going on with you and you can lean on. And this is a reminder that not only are you it, but Spirit is bringing you this incredible, nourishing and life-giving tree in the darkness, this light in the darkness, this comfort and reminder of who you are. And so keep walking, keep listening to the guidance, keep following the path that you are guided to do, which I'm hearing really is the path in the middle, which would seem impossible because there's a big old tree in the way, right? Not when you're turned within and you're listening to Spirit. They will like help you reverberate yourself in such a way you can move right through that tree, gathering up blessings from the tree's wisdom as you go. Now, the last couple cards that came through, this card came out, I think I showed it already, with the Eight of Challenges, the Weaver of Visions. And it was an interesting card to want to couple with the Weaver of Visions. So I spent a little time contemplating it, and what came forward and continues to want to be spoken is the themes of Aquarius. You're an air sign, Gemini. And of course, you're an Aquarius because we're all 12 signs. But this figure, she's swimming in the ocean. She has a mermaid effect going on with one of her legs, and the other one isn't quite transforming yet. And I'm seeing these washes of water and the sprays, and I am seeing this card as her being in the water. And yet there's still these sprays that are circulating around her, maybe from her fin, she's kicking up the dust. And the message that's coming through with regards to how it relates to Aquarius has to do with that seeking of clarity in a vision, maybe not even seeking. It's like you have this clarity, this knowing, whether you can articulate the details of it or not. You have this knowing, this vision of what it is to live and move and breathe and do in the world as a collective, not in a synchronized way, but in a, like all these little sparkles here in the waves. We're all working together. We're all a part of the wave. We're all a part of the part. And it does make a design. It may not be perfectly symmetrical, but it is working together. It is collaborating together in a type of ecosystem, not just physical ecosystem, but a mental and emotional and a spiritual ecosystem. And there's a vision that comes with that you know about. Again, it may just be like a feeling, like you know what it feels like for everybody to be coexisting symbiotically and in a way that is beneficial for everybody in their growth and in their challenges and in their triumphs and successes. And what came out then after that in relation to that card is the Seeker of Spells. And I saw right away the flower in the foreground. It reminds me of that, the animated Disney movie, Tangled, with, now I'm forgetting the name, Rapunzel in the tower, and the character looking for the flower of life, of immortality and youth and so forth, and the mother. But I didn't so much get that idea of the woman in this figure being like the Lady Gollum, I don't remember. But the idea of it was still there, searching into the depths of the woods, there's this veil of ivy that she's moving through, like into the depths of the woods and beyond, and past the veil into almost like a pocket dimension, right? Is this flower. And this flower is representing today that vision that you have, that you know the feeling of, and that if you could really just open up your mind all the way and get a pen and paper and let yourself just write and write and write, free write style, not caring what came out, I have a feeling a lot of those pieces are going to start presenting themselves to you in a way that's going to give you a more tangible access point of where to go and what to do next that is new for you, that hasn't come to mind, or at the very least, maybe it's familiar, but the way you're going to approach it will be very inspired and very almost compelled, that it will simply be that beautiful golden path. And the flower is that the entirety of that vision. It's something that I feel you are seeking out, not for sole purpose, not for your own self. You're seeking it out for the collective. But there's one final little piece here. There's a little fox in the background. And, you know, foxes, we often categorize them as the sneaky ones, the thieves in the night. And I wanted to go to that for a second, but I heard friend right as I was about to say it. So he is a friend of yours, or she, even a companion in spirit. But there is something that wants to be said about, remember that we are all fallible and we all can be influenced by unexpected and unknown, even unseen influences. And so even our little companion in the background can be there for all the right reasons, but can be influenced without its knowing, without it even doing anything wrong, just like we can, in a way that can make him be mischievous or interfere and set you back on your path a little bit. So it's a reminder to recognize the beauty and the goodness in our companions while simultaneously recognizing the fallibility and being alert to that, not aware, not necessarily, definitely not cynical or pessimistic of those with us, but being alert and aware of those companions we have in our life, that their nature, just like all of ours, is one that makes mistakes and is meant to make mistakes. Sometimes they are also meant to go out with the girls or the guys and dance and play and party a little too hard under the solstice moon. That can happen, and it can throw, and it does, each and every one of us off course, and it doesn't make them wrong or us for doing it. It does, however, sharpen our skills and our abilities if we stick with it and get back in alignment and do the work, as well as enhancing our compassion, because we can relate. We can recognize that within ourselves. So that is it for the first half of this reading. I am creating Vimeo Extendeds now. So I will put a link to the Vimeo Extended in the description box below. If you want to go over to Vimeo after this first part, you can purchase or rent the second half. We'll go more into detail, see what else Spirit has to say about that. And I believe I will be pulling a practical take-home card from the Green Witch's Oracle, and hopefully another of the spirit animals. So I'll see you there. Thanks, everybody.